Hey everybody, how you doing? Alexie here, and I've got a message on one of my Facebook pages recently from Jack from the Gold Coast, and he says, "Hey man, I just thought I'd flick you a message. I'm a musician based in the Gold Coast, and I really want to get into session stuff and just gigs too. Just wondering if you have any tips on how to get some session bookings, and if you might know any advice on networking, etc." So Jack wants to get more work as a gigging and session musician, right? Now, my number one piece of advice for this is getting your social media handled, because in this day and age, that's like the number one way that people find out about what you do, right? And that's also like the number one way that people get gigs in this industry and sessions is through who they know and who knows what they do, right? So I'll give you an example of why I know this, because like 3 years ago, I moved from small town Coffs Harbour to Sydney, and I had already made a full-time career for myself in Coffs Harbour, but I wanted to move to the bigger city, and I wasn't working in Sydney at all. So I had to basically start from scratch, right? And I had to figure that out. So but what I had done is, before, when I was living in Coffs Harbour, I had started adding some musicians from Sydney that inspired me, just for the pure purpose of my own inspiration. I was just friends with these people on my Facebook. But then I realized, like, when I made the plan to move, that those connections were actually really helpful, because that I was able to, like, these people had already seen some of the stuff I do. I was posting about my music and blah, 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 and I'd seen their stuff, and we kind of made a little bit of a connection already, even though we'd never met in person. So I was able to, message these people and ask about, like, where's the gigs happening, where's the jams happening, that kind of thing, and go to the events where I would meet more people, and start to get known around town. So I actually kind of hijacked this process before I moved and started adding even more. Like, Facebook actually suggests, based on your friends list, new friends that you might want to be friends with. So because it could see that I was already friends with and engaging with musicians from Sydney, it was suggesting a few of those every now and then. So I would add these people every time I'd see someone that's like holding a guitar in their hand or playing an instrument and it says lives in Sydney. Then I would add that person, and then I'd keep the posts regular. So then they would start to see, like, what I do, and it would just expand from there. So on that point, that's my other point, I guess, is like, keep the posts regular, and posting about your music. Make sure your profile reflects that's what you do. And it's not just Facebook. Also, these days it's Instagram as well. So keep the posts regular there and connect to the right people. Once you get the first few, basically the social media will actually start suggesting the right people for you. You just got to follow that trail of breadcrumbs basically. Okay, so yeah, and in order to post all the time, right, there's a couple of things that often hold people back from doing that, and you'll have to get across this as well. Is for starters, it's just like the fear of doing so. Like, a lot of people have a bit of a anxiety about, like, posting themselves performing and stuff like that. Now, yeah, you're gonna have to. My advice of getting rid of that anxiety, I guess, is like, firstly, commit to just recording yourself, right? Like, you don't have to hold yourself to posting everything, but just at least start recording everything you do. If you're already gigging or doing any sessions at all, then make sure you have a camera running. If not, and you're really not playing in your town yet, then you can still record yourself, like, doing something at home, like playing one of your songs, playing a cover. Get some cover videos going, and that kind of thing. So, and then go through the footage and find the good bits and post those bits. Like, you've definitely got to start engaging in the social media side of things, and that's really going to help, because not only is people gonna, in your town that you live in, is gonna see what you do, and if you've already made those good connections, but also, like, if you ever go through agencies or anything like that, you start applying for those kind of things, then they're always going to ask for videos of what you do. You're going to see evidence that you're actually a capable performer, right? So yeah. social media connections, regular posting, and good videos. And this is all assuming that you're a capable musician, okay, that you're actually up for the jobs that you're trying to go for. So also honing your craft, obviously, just being good at what you do, okay. So get some lessons if you're not up to that stage yet. So that's like my main point, right, is the social media and just keeping and honing your skills. Now, one other point I have to make is, if you have honed your craft as a musician, right, that's not everything, because you could be the best drummer in town or whatnot, but if you're no good to work with, or you're unreliable, or you're unprofessional, that's going to basically kill all of that, right? Like the guy who's not as good at actually playing, but actually, or guy or girl, I should say, the person who is not as good at playing as you, but they can get the job done to a professional level, and they're also really friendly person who's charismatic, and also just the main thing is just they're reliable, and there's no downside to hiring that person, right? That's what you want to do. Eliminate the downsides to hiring you, okay? So try to be prompt with getting back to people, and answer your phone, and turn up on time, and dressed for the occasion of whatever gig it is, or whatever session it is. Like if you're playing a show, often it matters what you look like as well, okay? So you just want to just don't turn up in shorts and thongs. If it's like a corporate function, you're never going to get hired again if you do that kind of thing. And just know that what the person is hiring you, like if you're being hired into a band, you've got to think, what does this person want me to play? Not what I feel like playing, but what do they want me to play? Like, so if you're I speak a lot of experience as a drummer. Like I play a few different instruments, but I do a lot of stuff as a drummer, and that was my first instrument. And sometimes people will hire me to just literally, they just want me to play 4 to the floor, and just with a good feel. And I might feel like chucking in some little chops or something like that, but it's not going to serve the music, and also it's not going to serve what that particular person wants. So you have to kind of get into their head of what they want you to play, right? Same even goes for a soloist, like what's the client want, blah blah blah. Okay, so yeah, social media, get the chops happening if you haven't already, or you hone your craft. That's what I should say. And just be professional. That's very important. These are the main things, right? It's just who you know, and the fact that you'll do the job right. Okay. So yeah, basically overall, that is my main tips. If you're doing these things, and you have to be, that's the other thing, okay, is persistence, right? Is you got to do this over a long period of time. You got to be in it for the long run, because people got to see that, that if they start hiring you, then, it's going to be something that's hopefully going to be a long-term sort of thing that they can do. And it's someone who takes this seriously and is not just doing it, as a passing fad sort of thing, okay? So if you're really into your music, and make sure your social media reflects that over a long period of time, stick in there for a long period of time as well, just to, be patient, because it does take a while. It's taken me 3 years to get to a point where I'm making a comfortable living as a full-time musician here in Sydney. And I'm sure that won't last if I don't keep hustling as well. You got to keep applying for those gigs and keep being relevant. Okay. So yeah, overall, I hope this helps. That's my main points of advice, which I can say from my experiences helped me to get where I'm at, and will help you as well. And I think that applies to, basically whatever it is that you want to do in music. You just got to follow those main principles. And yeah, so yeah. Thanks a lot for the message, Jack, and hopefully that helped other people watching. And if anybody else has a question, just send me a message. And yeah, I'm kind of liking this format of doing a video, so might do some more in the future if we have some more questions. So thank you very much, and I'll see you the next one.